5 on Sunday. Just doing a little bit of work. It's kind of nasty outside, and Ryan and I have been talking, and we've been talking to a few of the other uh, big gun lobby guys, and we're working on the issue for case number 3, getting it ready to go. And so we were plotting. We've had a lot of emails from people that have signed up on number 3. We've got this confusion going on in Macon County that's got a few people that I'm trying to help get that figured out, and I'll help them get that figured out. But the the case number 1, as you're aware, the appellate court is going to issue their decision here in the next 3 days, probably, I'm guessing. And I'm confident, again, based upon my legal opinion, that we're going to get a favorable ruling out of the appellate court. They may give us some clarification and some direction on a few things, which would be helpful. We got no problem with that either. Thanks, Jeremy. So they're, getting that from them is going to be a good thing for all of us. Again, upholding the TRO that Josh Morrison entered in, I'm confident. But at a minimum, they're going to be able to give us a little bit of insight of what they think about all of these things. Now, we haven't seen an order from case number 2 yet from the judge, and he could issue that tomorrow on Monday, or that judge could also be doing the same thing. He might want to wait and see what the appellate court has to say about this, because it may give him a little bit of insight on what they're thinking and what they like, what they have concerns about, etc. Does that make sense to you? So in light of that, Ryan and I and some of the other lawyers discussed, does it make sense, instead of closing off number 3 today, because again, I can close off number 3 tonight, we can file it tomorrow, and until the appellate court rules on Wednesday, nothing's going to happen anyway, right? So there's really no urgency to get that all wrapped up and filed tomorrow, because nothing's going to move now until the Mount Vernon 5th Appellate Court tells us what they're thinking. And so based upon that, I made the decision to go, let's just leave number 3 setting right now. We'll get it filed. We'll file it, again, middle of this week. But let's give the benefit of the doubt and let the appellate court do their job, and let's see where they're at. So we'll do one of two things. We'll know we're good because they agreed with us on everything. Or we'll go, oh, let's tweak this a little bit, and we'll tweak it on number 3. And we'll also go back and tweak it on number 1 and 2, and they'll all be the same. But let's use that tactic, right? I mean, it's not a secret. I can say that talking to everybody. We use that as a tactic. Let's see what they do. And so Ryan's going to take the timer off of number 3, and we're just going to go forward. If you want to sign up, you can tonight, tomorrow, the next day, whenever you want. And we'll, again, the appellate court decision is not going to change how we pursue these cases. We're still going to pursue the same arguments, but we may learn something from them. And again, I think that probably prudent to see what happens. So that's what we're going to do. So he'll take the timer off. He will leave it just sitting there open, and you're free to choose to do what you want. And then once we see what happens Wednesday, we'll go from there. So, probably what we'll do, we'll wait and see what the appellate court does. If I have to tweak something, I'll tweak something again on number 3, and then we'll get it filed, later this week or beginning of the following week. All right. And then again, if we have to tweak anything, we'll do it to all 3 of them. It's not like we'll do it on the 3rd one going forward. The other 2 are what they are. We can always change them too. It's not a big deal. So I wanted to let you know that that's what we're going to do. I've got a handful of people. I'll go ahead and talk about it brief. I got a handful of people who have asked me, they're joining into and this is one of the reasons that I'm going to wait a little bit. There's a handful, several actually, of people that were going to join that Macon County case that decided that probably wasn't a good thing for them to do. Okay. And so I'm going to be filing something in that case, getting them out of it, and making sure that their rights are protected in the way that they need to be protected. So if there's any of you that are, on that list of this alleged association, and you're concerned about that, you send me an email or send me a message on social media, and I'll see what I can do to help you, because I'm trying to help all of them that have reached out to me and want to deal with that. I know what's going on And, you know, all my interests have always been is just to protect people. I'm not interested in politicians. You know, my personal belief is politicians that aren't lawyers should be politicians and let lawyers be lawyers. And lawyers can disagree on things sometimes, but that's for lawyers to do. Politicians should stay out of it. But nonetheless, I'll help anybody that wants me to help them with that conundrum that's been created with all of that. So get that done today and tomorrow. But if you have an interest in me helping you with that, you got to send me a message. And again, I've had quite a few send me a message, and I've explained to them what their rights and obligations and situation is, and I'll do the best I can to take care of them. So let me see if there's any questions, you guys, and then get back to drinking my water. And Riley and Asher want me to help them do a puzzle today. Let me see here. Jordan, that's a good question, Jordan. What if the appellate court comes bad in favor of the estate? Again, to the extent if they agree with the state on anything, we just see what they agree with them with, and we change it. So I don't suspect. We raised 4 independent issues of problems with this law, if you remember. I don't see them coming back and disagreeing with us on all of them. Could they disagree on 1 or 2? Maybe, temporarily. But again, keep in mind, this is only a temporary order. This is not the full case being in front of the court. This is what's called, the big fancy word is interlocutory. Means it like at the beginning. So there's nothing the appellate court's going to do that completely wipes this case out. It's not going to, for us or for the governor, just so you're clear. They're not going to do anything that wipes the governor's case out either. That's not how it works at this stage. So don't be concerned about that. You're welcome, Jordan. Let me see here. John Anthony says, save me some of that chicken pot pie. Now, brother, I'm going to eat it all. Let me see here. Let me turn that off, guys. I apologize. I'm trying to keep up here. Jesse James says, if when it's obviously unconstitutional, how long, give or take, will it take to get the law removed? Jesse, if everything in a courtroom was obviously one way or another, wouldn't the world be grand, my friend? But things that are obvious to us aren't so obvious to others, and vice versa. Things that may be obvious to others aren't obvious to us. But I suspect, this is really rough here, by the time we get this law removed altogether, it could be a month to 6 months, my friend. I just can't predict that. If I could predict the court timing like that, I wouldn't be a lawyer. I'd be playing a lotto. I told you guys. Okay, let me keep looking here. I want to make sure you guys know. If you and Bailey were in office, we wouldn't have this problem. Well, if we were in office, we might be dealing with it, but you know, I'm dealing with it as one lawyer right now. Not one. I've got some other lawyers helping us, as you guys know. But if I had 450 lawyers in Attorney General's office, it'd be a lot more fun. That's for certain. Jeremy, how many people this round? I don't know. Jeremy, I haven't keep up with that. Like I said, it's not about a number to me. It's more about people being able to say they had a chance to get on. So I don't ever keep track of that, brother. Let me see here. No, I didn't talk about the ISP's efforts, Michael, to join cases. That's in the federal court. I've learned a long time ago not to conflate issues in other cases that don't affect the ones that I'm helping people with right now, because it gets too complicated. So now I'm not going to talk about that. It doesn't hurt us what they're talking about in that federal case right now. So not too concerned about it. Chris DeLulo, good question. Do we need, or we have to do anything additional for the federal case? Are retainers and paperwork adequate? The money you paid me has got nothing else to do with the federal. There may be another piece of paper you need to sign once we go to file the federal court case, Chris. We're working on that right now. And yeah, once that time comes, you'll get the email. I already had, Brandon, you might have got on late. The second case with the judge, get a judgment. He could do it tomorrow, Brandon, but I suspect he may wait till Wednesday, see what the appellate court says too. So And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Let me see here. David, how many people in number one successfully exercise firearm purchases? I don't know the answer to that. It's none of my business what my clients do. I do know there have been some that went and bought firearms and magazines and stuff like that, but how many, I'm not sure, brother. I don't ask. It's none of my business. Let me see here. Michael Lawrence, politicians are not lawyers. I mean, there are a lot of lawyers that are politicians, but, keep in mind, if you're a lawyer and a politician, they're two different things. You don't mix the two together, right? I mean, when I'm campaigning as a politician, when I did campaign as the attorney general, I didn't mix my legal profession, my law, when I'm talking to you about politics. But politicians that aren't lawyers, they shouldn't be talking about the lawsuits at all. It's just not their thing, I don't understand why a politician who's not a lawyer would say, hey, join me as a politician in my lawsuit that I'm going to file and send some money to my political campaign. I don't understand that. So, people can do what they want. I just care about protecting people that are now in a tough spot because of that. So, I'm glad you finally got some decent looking artwork in your office. You like my pictures back there? Those are my masterpieces that the kids give me. Can we buy firearms anywhere if we're on the suit, or does it have to be FFL on the suit? You can buy them anywhere, because you're exempt by a court order from that lawsuit applying, or that law applying to you. You can buy them anywhere, they'll sell them to you. Go to Missouri and buy one. You're not breaking the law buying a weapon if you're in part of that injunction. You go buy one anywhere, somebody will sell it to you. Perfectly lawful. Christopher, you signed up today, waiting for the DocuSign. What if it doesn't get sent by midnight? Two answers to that. One, if you signed up and got a receipt that you're signed up, you don't have to worry about the deadline. We'll get the signature page to you even after that deadline. But if you go back and listen, Christopher, we're going to take that deadline off for the reasons I stated back then. Okay. Alfredo, what do you think the state police will say? I don't care what the state police says. As a court order, they can't say anything. So, I don't represent people in those transactions. If you go buy a gun and the state police comes calling, there's all kinds of lawyers that'll deal with that. They can't do anything to you. So don't worry about that. Let me see here. People keep asking, are you going to run again? I don't know. I don't like politics. You guys know that. So I don't know. I haven't, right now I can say the answer is no. I have no intentions of running for a political office today. Could that change in a month? Anything's possible. But as of today, I don't have any desire. No, Alfredo, the gun store does not have to submit to the TRO. Any gun store can tell you, I don't want to sell to you. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't make anybody sell a weapon to you, court order or otherwise. They can just say, I don't want to sell you one. As long as they're not discriminating against you because of a protected class, race, minority, sex, any of that stuff. But just because they say, I don't want to sell you one because I'm not comfortable, they can do that. You can't make them. Can you comment on JB saying he'll fire any sheriff that doesn't follow the law? Debbie, yeah, JB's full of shit. You can't fire a sheriff. Sheriffs are constitutional officers, pretty much like JB's a constitutional officer. The sheriff can tell him to take a big flying, what, and there's nothing that he can do about it. He can cry and whine, but he can't do anything. Barney, can you buy an AR-15 from a private individual that is not part of the TRO? I'm not giving anybody legal advice that's not a part of my case, but if someone has a AR-15 that's not a part of any of these cases, there's a law right now that says they can't sell that weapon. So whether they choose to do that or not is up to them. If one of my clients wants to buy a weapon, they're lawfully authorized to buy one. Whether somebody that's not a part of this case wants to sell one, it's their business. I'm just saying there's a law that says they can't. Do what you want. Senator DeVore sounds really good. Yeah, Ken. I thought so. Well, I thought so, but so many people listen to him and believe him. Debbie's laughing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of gullible people in this world, Deb. You know, they believe things they shouldn't believe. I try to tell people think for themselves, but sometimes that's tough. You're welcome, Barney. Somebody's talking about while you're at it, you should fight for FOID and stuff. Guys, you can't, I said that the other day. You can't bite off all of these issues and just say, oh, I'll throw them all in a big basket and we're going to start fighting them all. And I start waving my hand just to the actor. You can't do that. That's not how life works, you guys. You got to pick battles. You got to fight that battle. You got to focus on that battle. Then later you decide to choose another battle and you fight that. You just can't take all the wrongs of the world regarding Second Amendment or gun regulation and just say, oh, we're going to fight them all. You won't win anything. You won't accomplish anything. You'll run around in circles like a little hamster on a wheel. I hope that answers your question, brother. Well, yeah, Deb, you can fire them. You can unelect your sheriff anytime you want to. That's how the county sheriffs work. The people of the county elect them or unelect them, and whether they don't like him because they don't think he's very good. My sheriff's not very good looking, so maybe we'll fire him because he ain't purty. But yeah, you can unelect him. No, Sharon, none of these cases are class actions for all Illinois gun owners. That would not be wise to do that because it's complicated legal reasoning. But you're going to go to a state court and get a statewide restraining order. Good luck. So no. And you can't create fake associations like some people are doing, try to circumvent class certification. But that's for another day. Yeah, Daniel asked, do we have to show some sort of proof? I'm assuming you're in number 2, Daniel, the way your question's posited. Yeah, we get the TRO, you get a copy of it, and we've sent it to the people in the first case. You'll get a copy of it, shows your name on it. You can take that in and show them, and it'll show that you're excluded from this law. So we get to that point, we'll get that to you. What about retired military veterans? Nope. Retired military veterans are shit out of luck. You can be the baddest Navy SEAL on the planet. If you're an Illinois resident, you don't have the right to own or purchase. I guess if you had one before the law, you can't go purchase an AR-15. Sorry, Navy SEAL. You're not trained well enough, according to J.B. Pritzker. That's how stupid this law is. There's some dumbass named Dwayne. How much money will you make off of this before the Supreme Court strikes it down? I represent the clients that hire me voluntarily and willing to represent them. If Dwayne, if you want to be a dumbass and talk like that, I'll talk back to you like one. You go move on along now. If people don't want to hire me, they don't have to hire me. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. If they want to, they can represent them and I'll represent them. That's fine. So there you go, buddy. So go do whatever trolling you want to do. Sharon says, how do we get added to the case? Again, I think that we go to DeVoreLawOffices.com if that's what you want to do. Go talk to Dwayne Corey down there, the one crying about that. So see if he approves or not, if you want to decide to join up. So you can go, I guess Dwayne, if he wants to go give some money to the National Rifle Association and let them deal with it, he can. So I don't want to hear that nonsense. No, Matt, he is a dumbass. I'll call him one. If you don't like it, that's okay too. Oh, Let me see here. Jeff, okay, there's actual a real question. Is there plaintiff's testimony needed for case 1 at the appellate court? Is written testimony allowed or needed? It is neither allowed or needed, Jeff. When you do what's called an interlocutory appeal like that, it's only based upon the legal issues, not factual stuff. And so there is no testimony. It's purely based upon the legal arguments. And we submitted the legal arguments for our clients in case 1 last Wednesday. And so the appellate court's reviewing those legal arguments. But the answer is no, brother. They don't need any of that. Let me see here. Anybody else got any questions before we go? Again, I'll go back over why people are typing. So case 3 is open to anybody except Dwayne Corey. He's not off. Ryan, if he tries to sign up, you tell him it's a $5,000 retainer, and I'll bill him by the hour, and we'll see what it ends up costing him. So there you go, Dwayne. Hope that works out for you. Yeah, Dwayne, I understand your point, brother. You don't have $200 and to throw it. I get it. Like I said, I don't know what you do for a living, Dwayne, but I'm assuming you don't work for free either. So, oh, what the heck is that? I'm sorry, that was the car. You don't work for free either. So, if you had any remote idea of the hundreds and thousands of hours that myself, Ryan, other people that work in our office, other lawyers that we've hired to help us, you might see it a little differently. But from your perspective, I understand where you're coming from. You don't see it right. So I'm sorry you don't, but that's life. I don't know what to tell you. It looks like Dwayne's a lawyer too. He's now a cerebral heavyweight in the practice of law. This will not survive the Supreme Court. No, I don't know that. Why would I say that? You're talking United States Supreme Court, or you're talking Illinois Supreme Court? Again, I don't know. You want to clarify for us, but I don't think it'll survive either one of them, to be honest with you. Chris sat on your keys. No, Chris, actually it was Asher. Asher was in the other room. He hit the button. Come on, don't pick on Dwayne, you guys. Don't pick on Dwayne. I understand Dwayne's point, but there's a lot of people. I don't leave Dwayne alone. It's okay. So case number 3, we're not going to do the close off at midnight. We're going to sit and wait for the appellate court to rule, hopefully by Wednesday. We'll see if we get a ruling on number 2 out of the judge, or if he's going to wait till Wednesday, which he probably should. If I was a judge, I might wait and see what the appellate court says too. That's okay. And then we'll see if we got to make any adjustments to our arguments, either state or federal, and based on what our appellate court here in Southern Illinois thinks about matters. And, we'll get case number 3 ready to go. But in the meantime, we're not going to shut it off and file it tomorrow. We'll just let it sit. And anybody wants to still sign up, they can. Anybody wants to give a donation to Dwayne so he can help put his $200 together, I would probably do it for him for nothing. But then I have to do that for everybody, and you can't pick and choose because it's not fair to anybody. So, but so be it. And then we'll get number 3 going. And I'm really interested in seeing what the appellate court has to say, because I think the equal protection argument, you guys, that's in the short term. In the long term, all of these arguments are rock solid. And the lawyers that do this stuff, they actually think what we're doing is very clever, and they didn't think of it. So take that for what it's worth. But the equal protection argument is so significant. I mean, you can't just carve out whole categories of people, say, well, based on your job, we're going to let you keep your rights intact. I mean, what does your job have to do with your individual rights to bear arms for self-defense under the Illinois and the U.S. Constitution? It doesn't matter. And they talk about, well, they have extensive training. They have training. Do they? One of the categories that they exempt out is private security guards. And if you go look in Illinois law of what it takes to become a private security guard, you know what you don't have to have? Firearms training. You can carry a weapon if you go through these classes, but none of them have to do with firearms training whatsoever. So it's got nothing to do with training. It was because a bunch of political unions with a lot of power got their men and women exempt. We all know that's what it was. You guys know that's what it was. And so trying to say your rights are going to be taken away from you to buy these weapons. But if you're, again, I'll make a county jailer who, has to go through some basic handgun training, which is true. You can own all the 50 caliber rifles and all the 30 round magazines and AR-15s you want unlimited because you took some firearms training? Okay, what about the other citizens of Illinois that go and get firearms training? You can go take the same training that a cop takes. You can go take it if you want to. Why can't you keep your rights? Your Second Amendment rights to bear arms, to not be restricted in your purchases. Why can't you go take the same training that they take and keep your rights? That's why that argument is not going to win, Dwayne, even in the Illinois Supreme Court, because it's irrational. It doesn't make any sense. If training is what this is about, and you can keep your rights if you're trained, let everybody get trained. Okay? I am a certified safety instructor for the state of Illinois. You may not know that. Department of Natural Resources. I teach kids how to be safe with weapons. I understand weapons. Yes, I'm not trained, right? Concealed carry people. Navy SEAL, most trained warrior on the planet. He's not trained enough according to this law. Come on, you guys. You got to use your brains a little bit. You're right, Jim. Jimmy just said when you do your concealed carry, you go through training. You're right. And let's add to that, Jim. Let's say that they don't think that training is enough, because if you're going to be trained as a law enforcement officer or as a Department of Corrections officer, you do 40 hours of training to get that certificate initially. And there's in that firearms training, the basic training, because I've broken it all down already, you do a lot of handgun work, and you do a little bit of shotgun. You don't necessarily get trained with an AR-15. You sure as hell don't get trained with a 50 cal. And yet you can keep them all. So why not tell the citizens? I'm not saying it would be legal. I'm saying it's possible. Citizen, if you want to go continue to buy these weapons, you have to take this training similar to what these, law enforcement takes. Okay, sign me up. I'll go take it. Again, I'm not saying it's constitutional and we might fight about it. But if I lost that argument, okay, I'll go do the training. I'm adequately trained now. Let me keep my rights. You guys with me on that? That's the best argument we got in the short run. Sheriffs do not have the power to stop federal agents from enforcing federal law. They can't. Federal agents don't enforce state law. This is a state law issue, you guys. Oh, you guys are just blowing it up. Are you taking new clients outside the gun ban? Yeah, I mean, I depend on the client, but yeah. So you got to ask Dwayne if it's okay if I have to charge you to actually take you on as a client, though, because Dwayne might get upset. But yeah, the answer is possibly, Kevin. It depends. You go to the website and fill out an information request. Let me see what it's about, brother. I'll respond to you. Oh, Johnny, was it Schultz? You ought to be you a lawyer, Johnny, because you're exactly right. Here's what Johnny says. What does training have to do with the mass shootings that they are claiming is the reason for this law? You're exactly right, my friend. And that's the argument, one of the arguments that I made for you guys. If the purpose of the law is to keep these shootings down by limiting the number of weapons that are out in the world, which again, I think is bullshit, but okay, let's say that part conversationally only. What's training got to do with that? Training got a damn thing to do with that. That's why they're going to lose that argument, in my opinion, Johnny. And that's why I'm the only lawyer in the state making that argument in the Illinois court. So, oh, look at Jason. I'm going to turn you all into freaking lawyers. What's training got to do with constitutional rights? It's a good argument. I agree with you. This is kind of fun. I'm not even drinking bourbon today. And look at Debbie jumping in too. If it was about safety, there wouldn't need to be a fee to register your gun. That could be an argument. Yeah, Mark just said no firearms training for security guard, very minimal. You're right. And again, if you go to the statute, which I did when I argued for you guys on our first appeal round here, I actually took the statute of what it takes to get what's called a firearms card or something they call it in the security statute. There's 9 requirements that you have to satisfy before they'll give you this card that you can then carry that weapon in your security duties. And it's all bookwork. It's none of it has to do with firearms training. They don't do any firearms training. And so I'm laughing and I'm pointing out to the appellate court that's considering our case right now. I'm going, they say it's about training. They don't provide any facts to support it's about training. But in general, I said, look at this law. This category of exempt people, they don't even have any training. So, and then I pointed out, well, you got a retired cop and he's adequately trained, but a retired, I use Navy SEAL, pick whoever you want. Army Ranger, pick all of those. I think they're all still men because we don't have women there yet, except for G.I. Jane. She was pretty cool. But it's like, they're not trained enough after they get out of the military to have these weapons. It's like the legislature's a bunch of idiots. David says if 1 point gets kicked, does it void the whole thing? David, the answer is no. We only need one of the 4, David. We made 4 arguments. We only need 1. So no, just because they might disagree with us on 1 doesn't mean that void the whole thing. We'd have to lose all 4. And again, the equal protection one, I tried to figure out, because that's what lawyers do. How do I lose this argument? What do they say? What are they going to do? I don't know on that one. I really don't. I think that, oh my goodness, you guys are typing. Chris, I don't know what you're talking about something about a state rep said. You're talking about State Rep Dan Calkins. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, Chris. Yeah, I'll speak to that for you. You want to talk about it? I'm going to pick on the guy. The guy's not a lawyer, but he's out here trying to practice law, giving you all legal advice, telling you things. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So in our case, each of you is a named plaintiff in the case. You're listed because that's what the law requires. It's not a class action. You're not some fake association. Each of you is listed as a plaintiff in this case. So as a plaintiff or not, it doesn't matter if you're not a plaintiff. If the state wants to ask a question of any of you, they can ask us a question. What are they going to ask you? I don't care. Well, so in that case, they filed in Macon County. They're trying to pretend, and they didn't list any of these people as plaintiffs. They're trying to say, well, they belong to an association that doesn't exist. And since they're just listed in an association that's fake and they're going to get kicked out, well, that means the Attorney General couldn't ask them questions. No, it means the Attorney General is likely going to ask them more questions. The Attorney General has a list of all of these people that aren't in the case. They don't have a lawyer to protect them, but yet they're trying to say they belong to this group of concerned citizens in this association. The Attorney General can go at each one of them and try to depose them and ask them questions. And guess what? They don't have a lawyer to protect them. So with all due respect to the representative, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's probably practicing law inappropriately by giving you all legal advice, and he's wrong. That's the answer to that question. And that fake association is likely going to get thrown out of that case by the Attorney General, and all those poor people that sent money to that man's political campaign and not to any lawyer to pay them to represent him, probably just going to be out of luck completely. It's sad, but sorry, you asked the question, so I'll answer it. Let me see here. I'm about done. Galen just made a good point, and Galen, I kind of made that point too. We're talking about Department of Corrections, and nothing. I got a lot of friends, Department of Corrections. They get 40 hours of training, but the training that they get, most of it's done with a handgun. Some of it's done with a shotgun, I believe. Do some of them maybe do a rifle? I don't think in the basic program, but they're not doing any 50 caliber. They're not going out there with 30-round clips and blazing away. So it's illogical to suggest that. And then again, I want to repeat it. If that 40-hour training that those unions take, I'm just going to call it like I see it, if that's what it takes to make you able to continue to exercise your constitutional rights, then sign me up for the freaking training and I'll go take it too and leave me alone, right? I mean, I'll still fight that I don't think I have to be trained. That's a separate conversation. But if at the end of the day we go to the highest court in the land and they disagree with us, then fine, I'll do the training. But don't tell me I can't do the training, and you, because you work in the prison jail, can go take the training. You're a jailer and you can do training and you can do all this stuff, and I'm just lowly lawyer, or you, whatever you folks do for a living, your job, you can't go do the training. Again, I never say never, but I don't know how we lose that argument. Yeah, there you go. My boy Jim Gardner. I'm an Army combat vet who was an expert marksman, and I'm not exempt. No, you're not exempt, my friend. You're not exempt. And even if you were currently in the military, you can only have that weapon in pursuit of your official military duties. You can't have one of your own. You can't go buy one for yourself. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. Is Michael Casper for the defendants? Of course, Michael Casper's for the defendants. He represents Christopher Welch, the Speaker of the House. No, firing J.B. Pritzker is not possible. Got to unelect him. No, Chris, I felt like it was a scare tactic for people to join his case over yours. It's what it was. It was not only a scare tactic. He was trying to, he's attacking and criticizing, trying to make it sound like there was these grand reasons why his case was good. His case is horrible. And all they did was copy and paste exactly what I did for you guys. They didn't create anything really new. It's the exact, I mean, you look at it, it's the exact same. And trying to act like it's somehow better or less risk, it's all bullcrap. And again, keep in mind, Christopher, people that are sending donations are sending it to his political campaign account. What are people thinking? That's like, I don't know. And I'm not here to say that Dan's a bad guy. Maybe it's just stupid. I don't know, but it's not going to end well. It's not. And all I care about is protecting the people that got themselves in that mess. That's all I care about. Thoughts on McHenry County State SA filing? It's interesting. I know him. He's a good guy. He's a good lawyer. See what happens with that. I know about it. I'm in no comment beyond that. Matt, I tried to tell him. What'd you try to tell Matt? I'm sorry, I lost track of that. Will these court hearings be able to be viewed online? Not most of them, Amanda. It's the most part, unless the court gives specific access to audio or video inside the courtroom, which doesn't happen a lot, then you can't watch them or listen to them, ma'am. Education and career is not a prerequisite to exercising constitutional rights. I like your style, Jason. Oh yeah, exactly. Smart man, Matthew. I agree with you. So, and I know what's coming by people on the other side of that case, and it's not going to go well. There may have been good intention at the beginning, but that turned into something that is not going to end well for anybody, and it's sad. That's one of the reasons I'm kind of waiting to give people a chance to figure that out, Matt, to be honest with you. Johnny, what do you think about the sheriff they are attacking? Yeah, it's up in DuPage County, I think. I don't remember his name. I think it's political bullshit. That's what I think. He's a sheriff. Tell him to go pound sand. That's what he needs to tell him to do. And if the people of DuPage County don't think he's making the right decision, then they just don't elect him next time, and that's okay. But that board, that county board, tell him to go. You know what you can tell him to do. Michael, that's a good question, Michael. Is there a way to get transcripts for our cases published to the Google Drive folder? Yes, sir, there is. Ryan, we got the transcript, I believe, on the first argument that I made in case 1. If you could please make sure that that gets out there. And then on case number 2, I don't have that transcript yet, but we did order it, that the arguments that were made in case 2, and I will absolutely get those in the folder for you all because they're your documents and you have a right to them, okay? Man, this is kind of fun because here's somebody, VS. Isn't training and the cost another thing that prohibits people from accessing their constitutional rights? That's an excellent argument. And yes, that is a component of it, of what requirements that you place. And are those requirements so restrictive that they also violate your constitutional right because they make it so, let's say, for example, the training costs you $50,000. Obviously, that's not going to pass. So it becomes a question of what are the requirements, what are these costs, what are they for, and whether or not they are limited enough in scope that they're necessary to be put in place. That's an excellent argument, VS, and absolutely it's something that will be paid attention to. Good job. Okay. Once again, Matt, you're right on it. I just had a conversation with one of the big lobby guys today who very knowledgeable. He's not a lawyer, but he understands this stuff really well. And him and I have been talking all the time about this is what we're working on. This is what you're working on. We're complementing each other. We're not getting in each other's way. We're not doing things that's going to make one person's life more miserable or complicated. It's very important. And so when you have these fringe attention seekers and these fringe things going on that are mucking it up, it sucks, but you can't stop it. Ryan says transcripts are in the case file for case 1, and it's attached to the motion in case 2. There you guys go. Ryan has them out there. If you want to go read the transcripts about what we've argued, then please go ahead. And I encourage you to do that. You might learn something. Galen, wouldn't it be great if the Supreme Court could just rule that anything that violates the Second Amendment in any way, shape, or form is illegal to file? Here's the thing, Galen. Who's going to decide whether or not before they file it, it violates the Second Amendment? Because when they file one of these laws, they say it doesn't violate the Second Amendment. And so then the court has to say whether it does or doesn't. You can't pass a law or issue a ruling from the court says you can't do it if it's unconstitutional. Because somebody has to decide that. And who's going to decide that at the beginning? Does that make sense, brother? I hope so, because that is where lies the issue. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Asher says hi.
I throw this away?
Yeah, go throw them away. Christopher says, will I receive anything to present a local gun store when this case is filed so I can purchase? 2 things, Chris. 1, you don't get to go, just because the case gets filed doesn't mean you can go do anything. A judge has to issue an order. And again, if the judge issues an order that benefits you to the point that you can then go exercise that right, we'll send it to you, okay? Brad says, shall not be infringed seems simple. It's not simple. And it's been debated long before this country was ever founded. It's been debated when this country was founded. And it's going to be debated long after we're here, God willing, that our civilization in this country survives for a long time. They'll be debating it then. It just, that's life, man. Okay. Did any new FFLs join the cases? In case number 2, there were 5 or 6 in case number 1. Case number 2, I think there were 60 or 70 FFLs. And as far as how many might tentatively be already on case number 3, ma'am, I don't have any idea. I don't look at that. I only look after it's filed and I need to understand it. So I don't know right now. Michael Folsom, it's debated because they'll do anything they can to try to wrestle our freedoms and liberties from us. You know what, Michael? They just want to keep you safe. Just trying to keep you safe. Why don't you let them? They're not trying to take your freedoms and liberties. Got to keep you safe. That's what they're doing, right? You buy that crap? I don't. Okay. All right, guys. I think that's about covered it all. We might do us one of those, what's that thing called, Ryan? As Twitter space things. We'll do one of them maybe next time. Those are kind of fun, engaging with people. So, yeah, Jeremy, if, when we get a ruling out of case 2 that would give them the ability to sell those weapons, we'll absolutely post those out there, sir. Right now, it's not been issued yet. So it's a little premature. But when the time comes, I think they would absolutely like for us to make sure you know who they are. And we will do that, Jeremy, when the time comes, okay? All right, so that's what we got. Case 3 is not closing tonight. It'll be open. Let's see if the judge in case 2 issues a ruling between now and Wednesday. Maybe, maybe not. If not, we'll get our ruling on Wednesday, hopefully maybe Thursday. They don't have to do it by Wednesday, but this week from the appellate court, see what we get from them, see if we can learn anything from them, see if we got to change anything or not. We'll go from there. In the meantime, if you're in that Macon County case and you're worried about that, send me a direct message. I'll see if I can help you guys. Okay? Take care. Love you. I'm out.